sure is nice to get a good night's rest without having to worry about horrifyingly traumatic nightmares. Although...
A darkness is coming! You will not stop it!
I'm sure that's nothing to worry about. Cresselia and Darkrai said they were on it. You know what's weird? Darkrai and Cresselia are part of a duo, the Lunar Duo to be exact. Yet Darkrai is a mythical Pokemon while Cresselia is a legendary. That's a bit of an odd move on Game Freak's part. It would kind of be like them making Latios a legendary and Latias a mythical Pokemon. Although, under some circumstances, it kind of is like that. Really, what is the deal with mythical Pokemon? Because they aren't legendaries, but they aren't really regular Pokemon either. To be honest, it's kind of hard to classify what counts as a mythical Pokemon. I guess you could argue they're all of the event-exclusive Pokemon, but then there would be a whole lot more Pokemon in the 20th anniversary giveaways, wouldn't there? And also, what about Pokemon like Deoxys and Zoroark, who were originally event-exclusive, but then were catchable in-game? And the Eon Duo, considering how if you want both in-game, you're gonna need event-exclusive items. Today, let's learn a thing or two about mythical Pokemon. Hey, you get out of here.
Mythical Pokemon are a special category of Pokemon often designated by their event-exclusive status.
Sans Deoxys, but we don't need to talk about him.
For Generation 5, mythical Pokemon were actually lumped in with regular legendary Pokemon. But what set them apart was that these Pokemon were so rare some people didn't even think they existed. They are often found at the end of a regional Pokédex with the exception of Victini, and are generally some of the most marketed Pokemon, being given movies and oftentimes their own special in-game events.
Mythical Pokemon can only be obtained in one of three ways, either by receiving them directly through Mystery Gift, by receiving a special Mystery Gift item, or by cheating. Or, you could just catch them. Stupid Deoxys, breaking the rules.
All mythical Pokemon are genderless and are not able to evolve, unless you count Zoroark as a mythical Pokemon, but more on that later. First, let's talk about mythical Pokemon in the lore of the Pokemon world. Mythical Pokemon, as mentioned before, are often not believed to exist, but said only in myths and legend, thus garnering the title mythical. However, these Pokemon are all too real as we know, but as what made them such staples in mythology is the legends that surround them. One legend states that Hoopa can move entire buildings across the world with its magical rings, but that Mew carries the DNA of every Pokemon to have ever existed. But probably the most famous legend is that of Arceus, who is said to have shaped the universe.
But for all we know, he's just another Pokemon. You see, that's the thing about mythical Pokemon. They're surrounded by so much obscurity that we don't know whether to take the things that are said about them as fact or fiction.
Take Mew, for example. There was a huge controversy about who was the true god of Pokemon after Arceus' introduction. What people fail to know is that everything claimed about these Pokemon are just that, claims. No one actually knows if Arceus created the universe or if Mew bears the genetic coding of every Pokemon. That would be like saying that, for a fact, aliens built the pyramids in Egypt without any concrete evidence. So can we all drop this argument?
Praise the Lord, Arceus. Sorry, something got caught in my throat.
Two other interesting mythical Pokemon are the Eon Duo of Latios and Latias.
Wait, Latios and Latias are mythical Pokemon. What am I talking about? Then why are they event exclusive in the game in which their partner Pokemon is catchable? I don't know. I don't know. Could they be considered mythical? I mean, under certain circumstances they are, but they're also not. And that's actually kind of true with other event-based Pokemon.
Okay, while Latios and Latias in and of themselves aren't mythical Pokemon, that doesn't stop them from acting like it every once in a while. In Ruby, Soul Silver, Black 2, and Omega Ruby, Latios was available in-game, while you need the Eon Ticket or Enigma Stone to catch a Latias, and vice versa. However, if we go by the rules of event exclusivity making a Pokemon mythical, then Zoroark should be considered a mythical Pokemon, right? It was event exclusive before Black 2 and White 2, so I guess? Well, no, it isn't mythical. While one could make such an argument, it seems that you aren't classified as a mythical Pokemon if you have an evolutionary line. Besides, Zoroark and Zoroark are just too common in both the Gen 5 and Gen 6 games, with multiple trainers possessing Zoroark, and them being rather common in both X and Y and Omega Green Alpha Sapphire.
So then, what about Phione and Manaphy? Because according to the rules of the other mythical Pokemon, you can't breed them. Yet with Manaphy, you can breed it with a Ditto to get Phione. So, does this mean Phione isn't a mythical Pokemon? Heck, is Manaphy? Well, yes and no. It's basically confirmed that Manaphy is a mythical Pokemon by the 20th anniversary distributions. Meanwhile, it was heavily advertised that you breed Manaphy with Ditto to get Phione. Really, it's a bit complicated, because we don't actually know what Phione is. But the popular consensus is that yes, it is a mythical Pokemon.
As mentioned before, there are 3 ways to get a mythical Pokemon. 2 involve official mystery gift events, and the 3rd involves cheating. One form of mystery gift event is the most common one nowadays, which is receiving a mythical Pokemon directly through distributions. The best example of this would be those that have been taking place all this year and are still going on. In these distributions, all you have to do to get a Pokemon is via the internet or getting a special code. Either way, you get the Pokemon directly. The other mystery gift method is where you obtain an event exclusive item over mystery gift rather than a Pokemon. These items would usually activate a special event in-game that would unlock a special location for you to explore and catch the mythical Pokemon.
Sadly, these events died off with the turn of Gen 6. I say sadly because it's kind of boring to just get the Pokemon. But with the item distributions, there's a bit more gameplay to have fun with and explore. Sometimes it even expands the story. Fortunately, it seems like these events could be making a resurgence with the Eon Ticket event being brought back in ORAS. Plus, the fact that Magearna will be released through the new QR system in Sun and Moon gives me a bit of hope that in-game events may be coming back.
Lastly is the unofficial method of obtaining these rare Pokemon, cheating. No, I'm not pure of heart, I have cheated to get mythical Pokemon. However, I don't personally think there's really anything wrong with it considering how all the ones I've gone for are unavailable, like Darkrai. Those who have cheated have used items like a Game Shark or Action Replay to put the Pokemon into their games.
These people are obviously stupid. Everyone knows you're supposed to cheat in the delivery guy so that the event actually works.
That's right, Nintendo has developed a system that punishes players for cheating in mythical Pokemon, such as not allowing them to change form or be transferred, or even being obtained at all for those who hacked in the event item instead of the Pokemon. But because I'm smart, I've been able to do every single Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum event, because I cheated in the delivery guy.
So that's mythical Pokemon for you. They're a strange bunch, but they're actually some pretty cool Pokemon, having spawned some of the greatest Pokemon controversies ever, along with making very big impacts in the world as we know it. While there are few, we all can have fun with them and enjoy their uniqueness. Heck, my favorite Pokemon is Darkrai, and a huge reason for that is because he was my Mew growing up. He was that Pokemon that I knew was there, but couldn't quite get. Plus, he's just awesome. So don't forget to pick up whichever mythical Pokemon happens to be on distribution right now. Because really, what's a mythical Pokemon good for other than bragging rights?